Hey guys, so as you guys know, we reproduce antique hubs and dies. And the reason I think that you guys like this stuff, not only is it beautiful, but it's the history behind it and the reasoning and the reasons why it was produced. And so when you look at any of these hubs, that you know that they were handmade. These were made 100 years ago. And the reason you appreciate them is there isn't an infinite amount of them. And even with us the amount that we can produce is very modest. I can't make infinite amounts. I mean, actually we could. I could tool up and start running things in a modern way. And I could produce them very, very rapidly for literally pennies. We spend $1 million on manufacturing equipment, and I can go into wholesale production, and we could produce ourselves out of business literally within about 6 months to a year. I could fulfill the world's demand or the entire need of the universe for these things. And then what you sell becomes worth nothing too, because you will be able to produce infinite amounts of product. So if we were to stop, the end result is what you see today, is printed models. Let me see if I got one on my desk. Let's go over here to my bench. So the end result of everything that you see in the jewelry world, it becomes, you go from a hand-carved master hub like this that was carved in steel in the early 1900s, and it's designed to last a very long time. Well, the next step was hand-carved waxes. And although not as beautiful, they're very inexpensive to create. And then the step from this is a printed wax. And that's what put me out of business, essentially, is a 3D printer. Let me see, I've got some in here. Oh, here's one. So this was 3D printed. A human hand never touched this. The way it was made was the stone was taken off of a menu of stone shapes and placed, and it was basically drawn entirely in CAD. And it was printed, it took about 20 minutes to print this one, and it was too small. So we printed another one, and it was a little bit bigger. The cost to make this piece, to print it, well, it was about $25 is what it cost to make this piece, because it took about an hour, and that's about what they were charging to do it. So the cost to make this in steel, if you were to do this today, is thousands of dollars, because this was made by hand. You could actually CNC machine this now, but there's really no reason to, because you could just print the model in any size you want. So, but what I tend to see with our customers is they appreciate the history. There is no history to this. This was pulled off of a CAD. I mean, we could make it 20 different ways. And this is the reason why all of this that you see around here on these shelves is no longer used. Because if you were a factory and you had to hold, this is nothing. I mean, this is just a small fraction of hubs and dies. But in a large company, they would have had to hold literally tens of thousands of these, hundreds of thousands of these things. When you can have everything you ever wanted on a thumb drive, on your laptop or your phone, for that matter. And you could literally print the entire universe. But when that happens, nothing's worth anything. The value becomes, well, you can see it in the jewelry industry today. No one's able to really make a living because everything is being sold at just a few cents over the value of the materials. So what's interesting, when I used to work in jewelry stores, antique pieces would come in, and we knew that they were special. because they were handmade in a lot of cases. And so we wouldn't scrap those. But then when all the regular mall jewelry stuff would come in, it did not matter. It went right to the furnace because we knew there was nothing unique or special about it. And that's what you see here. This stuff here is special. And the dies that we create for you guys, the reason I can't produce infinite amounts is because we are doing it how they did it 100 years ago. And that is what's special about it. If I was to make rubber molds of all the designs and then cast them, well, then they're no longer special because we could produce infinite amounts of all of it. And there is no longer anything special about it. And I know I keep saying the word special, but that's all that's left in this industry is the handmade part. So this one's just spectacular. It's a brush. And somebody made the master hub to make this. And it was put in a machine like this and die struck to make silver brushes and things. And it's still here 100 years later. But let me go grab something. So let me show you what you can buy on Amazon for, I think they're like a couple dollars. So this is a copy of an Unger Brothers piece from the turn of the century. It's made of plastic. Made in China. You can buy it on Amazon or Alibaba. And I think it's a couple dollars. But what I do is I like to go online and look for images where they've taken from the original and then reproduced it in plastic. So what you would have had was a box by Unger Brothers that would have sold for thousands of dollars. Well, now it's made in plastic and it's literally like $2 with free shipping overnight. And there's nothing special about this. It's bronze color, but it's plastic. And so there's nothing unique about it. Except when you look at something like this, so you look at these hand mirrors. These were made early 1900s, Art Nouveau. This one's Kerr, Stephen Kerr. This one, I believe, is Kerr as well. And they were made, somebody made these things by hand. Not by hand, they were die struck. A lot of people think that somebody hand chased this, but they didn't. Let me show you a piece that's actually hand chased and handmade. It's actually, this was made by Douglas Pryor. And this was made entirely by hand. He started with a flat sheet of copper. And he hand raised the entire vessel. So look inside. So this was all done by hand. This took hundreds of hours to make. This wasn't made in an afternoon. This took hundreds of hours. And this is probably what I would consider some of his finest work. And this is as nice a work as it's ever been done that I've ever seen by anybody. But there's a big difference between, this was made in a die. So somebody spent a ton of time making a die. And it required a huge amount of skill. And then this is, somebody said, well, Douglas Pryor, if you ever get a chance, Google his name. He makes some of the best chased work in the world. And yeah, this is from 2016. You can see his name, he signed it. I met him because he needed some tea steaks. And that's what we do. Well, we used to make tea steaks. But anyway, so what I'm just getting at is, I know that you guys want unlimited amounts of these to where everybody in the world can have one, but that would destroy, I can't produce that many, so it's not really an issue. But when you get to this point, nothing's worth anything. So that's just kind of the gist of what I was thinking today.
So thanks for watching.